Okay, let's get started again. I don't think we did number 7. No, we didn't do any of this page. We stopped at the end of the first page. N plus 3 equals the square root of 2n plus 5. If you see a problem like that, what do you need to do first? Square it. The first thing we need to do is get rid of this square root sign, and the inverse of that is squaring it. But if you square one side, you must square the other side. So now on the left, we have n plus 3 squared, which literally means n plus 3 times n plus 3. On the right side, the square root got canceled by the squared, leaving just 2n plus 5. Now what can I do next? FOIL the left side or distribute. N times n is n squared. N times 3 is 3n. Then you have to distribute the 3 times both, and that makes another 3n and a positive 9. Okay, now what can I do? Okay, combine like terms on the left side first. N squared plus 3n plus 3n can just be written as plus 6n, and then you write the rest. So now that the left side is simplified, now what can I do? Correct. Combine like terms by moving things to the other side. I can subtract this 2n to cancel it over here, but then I would have to subtract it from the 4n over there, from the 6n. And then I need to subtract the 5 to cancel it over here, and I have to subtract it from the 9 over there. So what trinomial remains when you move those terms? Plus 4, and then equals 0, because everything canceled out. Now you have two options to get to your final solutions. What's one option? You could graph it, and what are you looking for when you graph it? Where it crosses the x-axis. Or if you don't want to do that, you could also factor, bubble method, by looking for two numbers that multiply to 4 and also add to 4. 2 and 2. So technically, isn't that just one solution of negative 2? So let me show you what that would have looked like on the graph. Y equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. See how it bounces at negative 2? That's a multiplicity of 2. But it only happens in one place. That's why you really only end up with one solution, because it was a bounce at negative 2. And so that's D. But let's check it just to make sure we did it right. If I plug in a negative 2 on this side, what's negative 2 plus 3? 1. If I plug in a negative 2 right here, I'll just type it in. The square root of 2 times n, which we're saying is negative 2, plus 5 equals 1. 1 equals 1. Is that a true statement? So that means we did it right. Negative 2 is the right solution. Okay, number 8. The square root of 7x minus 14 equals x minus 2. What will you do first? Square this side to cancel out the square root, which means we must also square this side. So on the left, the square root got canceled out, leaving just the 7x minus 14. It's no longer trapped. On the right, x minus 2 squared literally means x minus 2 times x minus 2. There's people that need to pay attention. Now what do I do? FOIL. So I'm going to distribute this side. X times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Negative 2 times x is another negative 2x. And negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Am I ready now to move this 7x minus 14 over? Why not? Correct. I still have some like terms on the right side to deal with. What will this become when I combine like terms on the right? X squared minus 4x plus 4. Now that that's completely simplified, now I can move all of this over to it so that one side equals 0. So how will I move the 7x over here? Subtract it. It'll cancel over here, and then you'll subtract it from the negative 4x. How will I move the 14 over? Add it. And then I'll add it over here. So now one side equals 0 because everything got canceled out. So I now have what trinomial? Right. I see a lot of mistakes happening right here. You've done so much work and then you fail to type this in the calculator and you put the wrong answer. Type stuff like that in unless you're just very strong at negatives. -4 minus 7 is -11. Okay, now what can I do? I could graph it, and where it crosses the x-axis are my final solutions. Or if you don't want to graph it, you could just quickly factor it. And then the opposite of the factors are your final solutions. So what numbers multiply to 18 and add to -11? -2 and -9, which means the final solutions are +2 and +9. And those are the two places it would have crossed the x-axis. Does that mean I automatically circle C? No, because what could be wrong? Right, so maybe we should plug in 9 first. If I plug in a 9 right here, 7 times 9 minus 14 up under the square root, let's see what I get. The square root of 7 times 9 minus 14 gives me 7. So when I plug 9 in on the left side, I get a 7. I'll just write it over here. When I plug 9 in the right side, 9 minus 2 is 7. So 9 works. So that means both of them must be good. Where it crosses are the final solutions. You don't have to change their sign. Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility that you might have to zoom in or out. Okay, any questions so far? Number 9, identify the domain of each graph, choose all that apply. You need to get used to the fact that if one of these tests has this statement, you're probably going to be picking more than one answer for this problem. Okay? So, domain. When you hear the word domain, what do you think of? The x-axis, x values. To figure out the domain in an equation, what's the best way to do it? Graph it and look at the picture. So y equals the square root of x minus 1 plus 1. Okay, so we already said domain is x values. On the x-axis, isn't this the furthest it gets to the left? And what x value is that? 1. And then from there, isn't there a point at 2, a point at 3, a point at 4, a point at 5? So it goes from 1 and up, which is represented how? 1 to positive infinity. Is there another way you could represent that? C. Everything greater than or equal to 1. Yeah, look, choose all that apply means you're going to be circling more than one answer. Okay? Alright, so why don't you quickly try number 10 before I do it for y'all. Number 10. Y equals -3 plus the square root of x minus 5. So the first thing you need to do is graph it. What's up under square root of x minus 5? Okay, so on the x-axis, isn't this the furthest left you can get on the square root function? And what's the x value? 5. And then from there, couldn't you go to 6 on the x-axis, 7, 8, 9, and so on? So 5 to forever, which is represented 5 to infinity. But in the other way we write it with inequalities, which one's right, A or B? A, a positive 5. Okay. A and D. Number 11. This is going to be one of those questions where you have a bunch of boxes and then you have things below that you have to pull up to the correct box. Okay? Well, these are always partial credit. So even if you can't get every box right, you're getting points for every one you get right. Okay, there are several characteristics listed for the radical function graphed on the coordinate plane. List the correct characteristics under each title. Choices can be used more than once or not at all. Domain. What is the domain of this square root function? Correct. Here is the furthest left point, and that point has an x value of -1. But once it leaves -1, it goes to 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and the arrow means it will continue that forever, so infinity. And then look, they wrote it like this with a bracket, so that's the one you would pull up to the box. What is the range? Correct. You can go down forever. Okay, as it's going to the right, it's also slowly going down, and it'll do that forever. So it goes down forever, but then the highest it goes is right here, which has a y value of 2. Okay, absolute max. What do they mean when they ask for absolute max? The highest point. Well, isn't this the highest point? What are its coordinates? -1, 2. Yes, correct. That's also the starting point. That's why they say you can use it more than once. There is no absolute min because it goes down forever. You would never find the lowest point because it continues getting lower. When you hear the word intervals, what do you think of? No. The x values. Shh, pay attention. Well, first of all, look. We got interval of increase, interval of decrease. This is only doing 1. It's going down, so this is none. When did it start going down? -1, because with intervals we only care about x values. How long did it go down? Forever. So -1 to infinity. Okay, and then the y-intercept, that's the easy one. Where's it cross the y-axis? 0, 1. So that you can do your best tomorrow. Which of the following equations below could represent the graph shown? Now, remember, with a normal cube root function, its center point is at the origin. It goes up 1 over 1, and then it will go down 1, left 1. That's what a normal cube root function looks like, the parent function of a cube root. So how is this one different? How did it shift? Correct. That center point went left 2, down 1, 2, 3. Left 2, down 3. How do you represent left 2 in an equation? +2. So that rules out C and D. How do you represent down 3? -3. But even though I feel like by now everybody should know that, if you don't, can't you just graph all 4 and figure out which one matches the picture? I know, but some people, that might be their only option if they don't understand that left 2 is represented with a +2 and down 3 is a -3. Okay, number 14. We have a square root function. A parent function for square root starts at 0, 0, goes up 1 over 1, and then opens up and right. So how did this one shift? Okay, how do you represent left 2? +2, so that gets rid of A and B. How do you represent up 5? So C. Those should be easy for you. Well, the inside number is always opposite of what you would think. Left is plus. And then up and down are what you would think. Up is plus. Okay? But remember, if you're not sure, if you're not 100% sure, graph all 4, see which one looks like the picture. Nobody should miss a question like that. Okay? Nobody. Number 15. 3 more questions. Focus. Maddie, focus. 3 more questions. Number 15. Which of the following describes the end behavior for the function graph below? When we do end behavior, it's always x approaches infinity, x approaches negative infinity. What does x approach infinity mean? X is only left or right. So this would mean right, correct? And then this one means left. Okay, x only goes left or right, so the positive would mean right, the negative one would mean left. As you go to the right, what are the y values doing? They're going up. As you go to the left on this function, the y values are approaching -2. Which one? There's only one of them given. Which one's down there? D. Look, A says positive infinity to negative 2. It's negative infinity to negative 2. So only one of those is there. You have to pick the right one. Right. Positive infinity. As you go right, you also go up. All right, number 16. Shh, we're almost done. Okay. The formula F equals 5 times the square root of x minus 4 describes the amount of food a small mammal must eat daily to support its mass. F is food in kilograms and x is mass. Can you have a negative mass? No. Mass is always a positive number. So that means you have to have the square root of a positive number. And also think about it. Can you ever square root a negative number anyway? No. So what would you have to plug in for x to keep this positive?
Number greater than 4.
Or 4 itself, right? Because 4 minus 4 was 0 is 0, or anything greater than that would produce like 1, 2, 3. So anything greater than or equal to 4. Number 17. A county in Georgia is starting a recycling program. The number of people expected to be involved is modeled by the equation y equals 100 times the square root of 2x plus 300, where x is the number of months, and the program will run, and y is the number of people. So x is months, y is people. And that's the number of people expected to get involved. After how many months will 900 people be involved? Where could you put that 900? Well, look, 900 people. Didn't they say y is people? So in the y place, you would plug in the 900. Hold on. Haven't even written it. Now you begin the process of solving it, which, yes, means you start by subtracting 300 to cancel it on that side. And now you're left with 600 on the left, equal to 100 times the square root of 2x on the right. Divide by 100. And so now you have 6 equals the square root of 2x. And then what do? Square it on both sides. And that gives you 36 equals 2x. And what do you do last? Whoa, I wrote the wrong thing. Squared. 36 equals 2x, and divide by 2, so x equals 18. Now, say that you have a hard time doing all of this work. Months are x, right? Couldn't you just plug in 21 for x, 18 for x, 10 for x, 15 for x, until you got the one that produced a 900? That'd be another way of doing it, if you don't know how to do all the algebra. Well, like, look, if you plug in 10 right here, what's 2 times 10? 20. So type in 100 times the square root of 20 plus 300. 100 square root of 20, then plus 300 on the outside of the root. What do you get? And then on the outside of the root, plus 300.